Are you a solopreneur looking to 2 times your revenue to fund your lifestyle and give back? Well, this podcast is for you. We bring you inspirational guests sharing actionable tips to solve many of the struggles you face each and every day. And now over to your host, Paul Higgins.
Hello to the Build, Live, Give podcast. If you're a first-time listener, welcome. And if you enjoy it, please subscribe. If you're a regular, thanks for your support. Love to get your feedback at paul@buildlivegive.com. It means the world to me when you do. Our guest today is someone who wanted to be a cardiologist until they realised that blood was not for them. They worked at one of the largest brands on the planet, the same one as I did. They left in 2017 and now help women and underrepresented minorities get access to funding. The stats mentioned are alarming. So why listen? How to pivot your speaking business in uncertain times, how pitching for funds and selling to clients are related and lessons learned, and what traits successful entrepreneurs have and are essential for these unprecedented times. They have kindly given you access to pivot to your purpose, which is mentioned in the show as well. So now I'll hand you over to Monica McCoy from monicamotivates.com. Welcome, Monica McCoy, to the Build, Live, Give podcast. And Monica's from Monica Motivates. Monica, great to have you on board.
Hey, Paul, it's so wonderful to be here today. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, look, we've had amazing conversations off air, so I can't wait to have the conversation so others can be part of it. So I always love to start off with something that your family or friends would know about you that we may not.
So my family and friends know that my dream was actually to become a cardiologist. So I wanted to do heart surgery for my career. But unfortunately, I discovered in college and university that I had a fear of blood. So one of my first major pivots in life occurred my junior year of college, where I decided to change my major from chemistry pre-med to psychology because I just couldn't imagine blood splattering over me in heart surgery. So I had to quickly pivot and come up with a plan B.
Well, I think we've spoken about this before, but that's similar story to my sister-in-law. She actually got even further. So it was her first year of med until she realised that she didn't like blood, which I always find a bit strange. Anyway, because my wife says all through her, childhood, etc. If there was ever blood, my wife would step in. Actually, she would have made a better doctor than my sister-in-law. But a similar thing. But luckily, you found it a lot earlier. And right. I know you did psychology, and then you ended up working for the same company that I did for. I think you were 15 years. I was 18 years. So just give us a little bit of an insight what it was to work for Coca-Cola.
Yeah, Paul, I absolutely enjoyed my time with the Coca-Cola company. I spent 15 years there, as you mentioned, across a variety of different responsibilities. So whether it was project management, strategy, marketing, innovation, just so many different customer-facing roles. And I ended my career as a global director of strategy and innovation for the McDonald's division, where I had responsibility for Asia Pacific, Latin America, Europe, Africa, Canada, and just really everything except the United States. But I always tell people that my 15 years in corporate America prepared me to come out and run a business full time due to all the great training and learnings from working for a Fortune 50 company and being able to now leverage those skills in running my business.
Great. And I'd like to dive into some of those learnings, because if you look at both of those companies, certainly for me, 18 years at Coca-Cola, I'd never thought that, one of the leading products in the Australian market at the moment is Coke No Sugar, right? I just never saw that day coming. Certainly when I started in 1993, that was not what we were doing. And I know that the McDonald's company has had huge pivots, particularly here in Australia. Its menu has completely changed. It's got a lot more cafes, etc. So just looking at these current times. So, we're recording this in early May, where I know Georgia tomorrow is going to completely, go back to so-called normal and reduce all the restrictions. And you've got other parts in the world that aren't with COVID. I'd just love to know what are some of the key learnings around pivoting that you experienced from working at these two massive brands.
Yeah, I would say that if you think about from a corporate perspective, that there's always change management going on. There's consistently major business initiatives that organizations are rolling out across their entire organization. And if you think about COVID-19, basically we're going through global change management simultaneously. And so everyone's getting through the curve, at their own pace. So some individuals are definitely, in the resistant to change and not adapting to our new normal very well, and others are completely embracing it. And so I really think that you have to think about this from both what's best from a health perspective, and then how we can also continue to navigate safely and responsibly in this new economic future. And so, being in a state that is reopening tomorrow is definitely a concern, and one that, I think we have to be very careful with and continue to listen to the health experts and their recommendations. But when I think about this from whether you're a corporate professional or whether you are an entrepreneur, is that many of us are having to completely make sure that we are agile and are going to business in a very different way. And those who are going to make it through this are going to be those who are, one, resilient, two, are agile, and three, are willing to get out of the fixed mindset and navigate to the growth mindset. Because everyone's plan coming into 2020 did not have COVID-19 in it. Mm-hmm. And so as you think about where individuals are having to pivot, the organizations that are going to remain relevant or strong are those who are really taking this truly challenging time and being able to see the silver lining with how they can either, one, make an impact, two, pivot their offerings, or three, be able to completely, engage in a virtual manner that continues to move business forward.
Right. And I know we normally cover this in the build section, but why not talk about it now? Pivoting, because I know that for you, speaking, you're a brilliant speaker, you've got great awards. How have you had to pivot given the current environment as a speaker?
Yeah, and I would say that literally the destination remains the same. The way that I arrived there is slightly different, but the destination of delivering relevant content, of making sure that I'm authentically connecting with my audience and leaving tangible items behind for them remains the same, whether I'm in person or whether I am speaking from my home office. So basically, from my perspective, I've just brought all of my curriculum and my keynotes online. And so we are doing virtual keynotes with Fortune 50 organizations. We have brought all of our curriculum online. And this was always part of our long-term plan, because we don't believe in ourselves as just an organization that's just based in the United States, but we are a global organization. And with that, in order to connect globally without always having to jump on a plane, your organization must be efficient, must embrace this new industrial revolution and bring tech solutions to the table. Because quite frankly, many of us are just having to expedite our tech plans as opposed to, running away from, this great opportunity to pivot. And finally, I will say to this is that if you are scared of moving forward in this new normal, take time to really, get back to the foundation of why did you start your business, and really understand that you can still achieve your goals with your business. You just have to really start thinking creatively. And this includes my restaurant owners, et cetera. There's so many restaurants that are pivoting with ways that they're going to market And it's possible to survive in this difficult climate. It's just going to take being very creative and also making sure that you are genuinely connecting with your customers and genuinely giving them things that they truly want to engage with.
Yeah, look, really well said. And for you, I've had a lot of people say, look, I just sat in a 4 or 5 hour board meeting online, and it just drove me insane. Like, specifically, what are some of the key tips you can give people that are changing their keynote from, in person to online? Is there any difference, or are there key differences that you've seen?
Yeah, I think you have to, really, assess the current landscape. And, I am very fortunate to have some very leading learning and development leaders on my team. And one of the things that we know is that when you are doing online curriculum or doing online keynotes, is that you have to give people digestible nuggets. So 4 and 5 hours, you're not going to keep the attention of your audience or the engagement, because one, you have to understand that people are quite distracted right now with balancing multiple priorities that they are not accustomed to balancing in their normal day-to-day operations. So I am very, forthright with my audience to say, we're not going to do more than 90 minutes at a time. And so I call this digestible nuggets. So really, be very honest with yourself. Look at the data, look at the research. It's going to be hard to keep engagement for individuals to sit in front of their screen for 4 to 5 hours. If you think about just even just entertainment for a concert or a football game, or even just thinking about a movie, those are in chunks of where they are keeping the individual's attention for really that 90 to 120 minute time frame at most. So just, do an honest assessment, your organization, and pull aside key individuals who will give you honest feedback. But literally the research shows that, you have to make sure that individuals are having time to truly digest the information and to stay engaged. And beyond 90 minutes to 120 minutes, you're going to lose a lot of your audience, from a perspective of truly staying engaged with the content.
Yeah, well, look, I think some of the biggest arguments we've had in our house during these unprecedented times is, do we watch the Netflix episode or not? I love the little hour bundles, and it's it's late at night, and you think, oh, do we watch one more or not?
Right.
I think Netflix what a perfect opportunity for the time. And I know you left at 2017. Just give us a little bit of background as to why you left and what you started.
Yeah, so I will tell you, I was one of those individuals who actually was enjoying my career, was at the peak of my career, but just knew that there was more to life for me. And when I found that I was at a point where I wasn't as excited about what I was doing day to day, and I was doing Monica Motivates on the side, and it was bringing me so much joy and passion, I said to myself, I'm going to take a chance on myself and pivot to my purpose. And if it doesn't work out, I have great skills that I can bring back to corporate America and leverage my key learnings from being an entrepreneur and bring that back in. So there was never a fear about, okay, if I fail, then it's just, awful. If anything, what I said to myself is go out there and take a chance on myself at least once in my life to do my own thing. And 3 years later, our organization is thriving. And even during this time of, an economic downturn and a global pandemic, we're seeing some of our best months ever. And the reason for that is because I have always trained my organization and have always operated from a perspective of find the silver lining in every situation. And right now, organizations are struggling to have great content to keep their associates engaged. And so if you are able to do things to help associate virtual engagement, then that is a key win for the organization, because quite frankly, many employees are struggling right now with no sense of community. And even with Zoom and the virtual community, that is truly an opportunity and truly not you know, not replacing genuine one-on-one engagement and being live in a physical office setting. But instead, what we're seeing now is that we have the opportunity to truly bring great content in a virtual manner.
Excellent. And you mentioned, to go and live your purpose, which is brilliant. Just a couple of key tips on how you found your purpose.
So, one thing I would first say is to really understand your foundation, what drives you. And so, my husband is a builder, and when he builds houses, if the foundation of that house is cracked, then no matter how beautiful the end result is, that house is still not going to be something that he can take to market because the foundation is cracked. And I would say with individuals, you have to just to discover what is your why, what is your foundation, what really makes you hop up and just get excited. And I found that my why was really helping people and making sure that everyone had an equal seat at the table. And so when I discovered that, I started applying it, in my day-to-day job. But also I said, I can do so much more outside the doors than I can within the doors of a corporate arena. And so once you find that foundation, the next thing is to go ahead and set the vision. So many of you right now are either in the middle of a layoff, or you are worried about a layoff, or if you're an entrepreneur, your business has probably, unfortunately, had an economic downturn. And so now is the time to really say, what is the vision? Where am I going? What is my North Star? And once you determine that North Star, it's time to really put a strategy in place. So one of the things that I absolutely love doing is putting strategies in place, but not just putting a strategy in place, making sure you have action items to actually bring that strategy to life. Because it's one thing to have a strategy on paper, but if you are not holding yourself accountable and bringing action items to life, it's going to be hard to truly pivot to your purpose or your North Star. And so when I put all that stuff in motion, as in The Alchemist, where it says, the universe will conspire to make it happen. Just all these things organically started happening for me to go ahead and be able to do my business full time. And you'll see the same thing, that once you really get serious about what you want to do and what is your true calling, you'll start to see that things just start to organically put themselves in place.
Yeah, and I, reflect back on my Coca-Cola days where, setting visions and action plans, I think was a key part to their 128 years success. And I used to love that slogan, which I think was created by an Australian president of the Coca-Cola company, which is, think global, act local. So yes, I'm sure like me have taken that into our own businesses. So we'll go into the build section. I know we've covered parts of this, but when someone says to you, Monica, how do you add value? What do you say?
I keep it very simple. One of the biggest things that I see is that literally, if you are able to authentically connect and authentically show results, then that is adding value. So I'm not just a qualitative person. When I deal with my customers or speak to my consumers, or my clients, instead, I make sure that I have the tangible results to show the impact that our organization has had. So every year, we put together what's called an impact snapshot to show our year-to-date results. And we literally update it, every single quarter. And if I, just have to think about, the fact that literally, we have impacted over 2,000 entrepreneurs since beginning our launch in 2017. It is our pebble. It is our pebble in the larger ocean, because we threw our pebble out there initially, in 2017, not knowing if this was going to work. And 2,000 entrepreneurs later, it's like you just really realize that everyone in this universe has value, has a purpose. And once you discover that purpose, the value that you can provide is greater than your wildest imagination. So I'm very authentic, with my customers, with my clients, consumers, to let them know that I do this work because I truly want to make a difference. If I just was concerned about, going to the top with promotion, I would have, stayed in corporate America because my career was on the fast track. But I left because I truly wanted to live a life of significance and leave an impact behind. And that is truly what I want my legacy to be, is the value that our organization added, the impact that we left behind, the impact that we made, and the legacy that we left behind.
Great. And can you give an example? So give an example of how you've helped an entrepreneur.
Yeah, so our organization works primarily with women and underrepresented entrepreneurs. And if you think about the fact that here in the United States, there was over $136 million in venture capital fund, $136 billion dollars in venture capital funding that went out last year, that was invested by those firms, and only 2.7% of it went to female startups. And so our organization takes primarily females and underrepresented founders and really trains them on how to, one, do partnerships with corporations, and also how to do VC deals and how to pitch for funding, because our goal is to change the data one founder at a time. And we want to make it so that, even if you have a dream of starting your business, the reason for it failing won't be lack of access to capital. And so our team is, consistently seeing that individuals who go through our curriculum are able to go and close deals with corporations and to pitch to angel investors or to pitch to venture capitalists to secure funding to scale their business.
Right. And what do you know about pitching that many of us may not?
Well, I know that pitching is really a simple concept, and I think that sometimes we try to overcomplicate it. But the biggest thing is, what is your unique value proposition? Many times when individuals are pitching, they're making it a commercial and they're making it all about them. But if you're not authentically connecting with your audience and telling them what problem you're solving for them, what solution you're bringing to the table, who is your target audience? Are you B2B, business to business? Are you B2C, business to consumer? Or are you a hybrid model where you're doing both? And then, what is your business model? How do you make money? How can they potentially partner with you? If you can't tell that information, it's going to be hard to really be able to strategically close a deal. And what I find is that many people want to go in and say, oh, I'm great, I'm wonderful, I'm awesome. And you may be all those things, but what organizations want to understand and what VCs want to understand is truly, why should they care? And if you can't leave them with that question answered, unfortunately, it's going to be, well, thank you for coming. We appreciate your time, but you're not going to receive that follow-up phone call.
Yeah, and for people, like a lot of people listening right now aren't probably pitching for capital. They're more funding it through their own cash flow or funding it through clients, as often we say, client funded. What advice have you got from them? So from what you've learned with people pitching, are there some similarities in how people actually, sell to their client base?
Yeah, so for those individuals who are, and we call it here in the States, bootstrapping your organization, where you are literally funding your organization by yourself based off your revenue and based off of your own personal investments into your business. I salute you. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. What I would say to you is to look at your 3 to 5 year outlook for your business. If you know that you want to stay steady and you're not looking for tremendous growth, and you are looking at this to stay potentially a sole proprietorship where it's going to be you pretty much doing most of the work for the foreseeable future, VC funding and strategic partnerships may not be the best avenue for you. But it really comes in place where you really look at your overall strategy, because if you see yourself scaling from a $100,000 a year revenue organization to 5 million, over the next 5 to 7 years, then you want to be very realistic about the fact that it's going to be hard to do that just based on bootstrapping with your own capital and organic growth. The best organizations don't go at it by themselves, because you can go far, as the saying says, you can go far by yourself, but you can go so much further together. And that's the art of a strategic partnership, is to really make sure this is a good fit, but that it also is going to help you meet both your short and long-term business goals.
Great. And traits. So, you come across a lot of entrepreneurs, helping them considerably. What are some of the common traits that you see?
The common traits in successful entrepreneurs are, first, mindset, the mindset of a champion. And so literally you have to have such a strong belief in what you are doing that if no one else believes in it, that is okay with you. If people laugh at your idea, laugh at your concept, laugh at your minimum viable product, that you're okay with that you still believe in it and you're going to still work hard towards your goals. So you have to have a strong mindset, because if you are rattled at the first sign of failure, quite frankly, this might not be the best fit for you. So you really have to have a strong championship mindset and be okay with failure and be okay with failing forward, knowing that every failure gives you the opportunity to learn additional lessons, but also you're not always going to be, at the top. This is a very, entrepreneurship is a time where you literally have great peaks, but you also have some very trying valleys. And so after mindset, I would say really being very resilient. So you have to make sure that you're someone who can weather the storm, because quite frankly, on the other side of COVID-19, we're going to see organizations that are booming, that come out of this thing so much stronger. And we're going to see organizations that unfortunately don't make it. And I would say, which side of the line do you want to be on? Do you want to be on the side that doesn't make it, or the side that really just digs deep, makes tough decisions, but continues to take it one step at a time moving forward? And then the other characteristic that I see from really successful entrepreneurs is patience. So a lot of times in this social media society, people think a lot of times that the success is happening overnight. Any successful leader, any successful CEO, any successful entrepreneur that you ever speak to one-on-one and is very candid and honest with you will tell you that they've had to overcome so much adversity. And there are many times where they wanted to quit, but they just didn't quit. They kept moving forward. And so if you are someone who has a strong mindset, who is resilient and who truly can be patient with yourself, because quite frankly, none of this stuff is not a microwave. You really have to be in it for the long haul. And so anyone who's ever ran a marathon before, you don't just get out there and run a marathon overnight. You have to put in a lot of training to be able to train your body to get to 26.2 miles. And it's the same here, is that you're going to have to put in that endurance to make sure that if you're going to make it to mile 26.2, that you don't quit at mile 3 when you've just gotten to the 5K.
Excellent. And the last the last question in the build section, which is, related to, once again, your experience in corporate. I certainly know when I was at Coca-Cola, there's a huge amount of resource and support. And, when you step out into your own business, there's you. So how have you sort of made the pivot from being, lots of resources to you to now actually building a team?
Yeah, so I'll tell you this funny story. Literally the first month that I left corporate America, I had my first IT issue, and I accidentally called the help desk at Coca-Cola. And when the person answered, I was like, oh my goodness, I don't have access to you anymore. And so, and I literally had a moment where I just had to chuckle at myself, because I truly forgot that I didn't have access to that resource anymore. But it really, when you transition from a large corporation where you have access to an abundance of resources, you have to really come out and operate in a very strategic way because you have to do more with less. And so you have to really make decisions based on, doing cost benefit analysis to really see, okay, what am I going to be able to drive the most impact with with less resources. And when you do that analysis and see that, okay, I don't have a team of 6,000 people, but my team of 10, we're going to be as resourceful as possible and really, make sure that we get as much done with the resources that we have. And so that's where I would say, everyone is at such a competitive advantage right now because technology has really helped to level the playing field. So you can use tech to truly do amazing things, to be agile, to create amazing results that we didn't have, 20, 30 years ago. So I would tell you really take time to automate as many processes as you can, make sure that your organization is as agile as possible. And then when you know that it's time to pivot, do not be afraid to do it. One of the things I would say that the most successful organizations do is that they are constantly looking at, what needs to continue, what needs to stop, and what they need to start. And if you are not doing that analysis, at least on a quarterly basis, you're going to be wasting your time on some stuff that's just really draining your bottom line. So the advantage with entrepreneurship is that you may not have all the resources, but you are able to make decisions so much more efficiently and quickly because you can pivot and be more agile and turn the direction of the ship as is needed.
Excellent. Well, I will ask you about some technology in a moment, but before we go into the live section, I'd like to help you to build your authority on LinkedIn in these uncertain times. So if you go to blgclick.com and watch our pre-recorded free masterclass, you will learn the 3 secrets. 1, the formula used by 1% of LinkedIn users to 10 times your views. 2 is the 7 killer steps to turn views into likes and comments by your ideal clients. And 3 is to convert likes and comments into relationships. So just go to blgclick.com and watch my recorded free masterclass. And many of the activities mentioned can be implemented by a virtual assistant, by a VA. So similar to what Monica's talking about is that team that supports you and makes it easier. So if you don't have a VA and you would like to learn more about getting one, just go to buildlivegive.com/VA. So we go into the live section now. Monica, so what are some of the daily habits that make you successful?
Yeah, so I live by the 5 F's for my daily habits. And so they're faith, fitness, family, fortune, and fun. So I begin my day with meditation each morning and really calm my mind. I do prayer and just inspirational reading in the morning to set the tone for my day. And then fitness, I take care of my body. So I make sure that I do some type of physical activity, whether it is going right now for a run around my neighborhood. And then literally, if it's not running around my neighborhood, then doing some type of weights or workout in my basement. And after that, I make sure that I'm focused on my family. So spending time with my husband and my 2 kids, making sure I'm being present for them because quite frankly, if those 3 are out of order, then I can't really be best at the next F of fortune of being a successful entrepreneur. So number 4 for me is actually, working on my business, working on my professional goals. And literally I make sure that I show up ready, that I'm consistently prepared, and that our team really, works against our North Star. And then finally, I think life is too short not to have fun. Even in the middle of a pandemic, our family is still managing to have a ton of fun. And playing basketball in our front yard and watching movies together in the house. So I live by those 5 F's, and I think it's made a tremendous difference. And included in fun for me is consistently, I am a consistent learner, and I will never stop learning. I embrace the growth mindset, and I am always looking for the next great book to read.
Excellent. Love that framework. Love it. So we've mentioned Stanley, your husband, a few times, and we know that he's a builder. But what we'd love to know is, and he will be listening right now, I'm sure of it. So what I'd love you to do is talk about the support he's given you through this transition in 2017 to you running and living your purpose.
Oh, I thank you for including Stanley in the interview. I'm sure as he's listening now, he's going to really enjoy hearing me talking about him. But Stanley, our relationship actually came out of a failure. So I just want to back up really quickly, is that the way that I met my husband is that I failed calculus in college or university. And I was very disappointed because I had 5 A's and an F on my report card, which equated to a 2.7 GPA. And so literally I decided to take calculus at another college. And that is where I met my husband. So if I had not failed calculus, I would have never met my husband. So that's why I always tell people, embrace failures. There's always something bright on the other side of it. But literally there's been research that has shown that one of the biggest decisions you will make in your life is choosing your spouse. So Warren Buffett has done an amazing interview about it. There's a lot of research out there. And I took time to make sure that I chose the right spouse for me, and one who was going to be supportive of my dreams and vice versa, me supportive of his dreams. And I would say that as an entrepreneur, you have to have someone who not only supports you 100%, but who supports you 200%, because there are going to be great times, there are going to be very trying times, and there are going to be times where you literally are just like, oh my goodness, why did I do this? But when you have someone who believes in you and who wants you to win, it makes it so much more bearable and enjoyable when the times are really good, because you're celebrating together and you are, forging forward together in the trying times. So really, if you are in that space where you have not selected your spouse, or you are working on, that phase of your life, please make sure that you take time to find someone who is truly going to be supportive of you. This is not a decision you want to rush into. And I am very grateful that we will be celebrating 16 years of marriage this year, and 20 years of being together. So just make sure you find that supportive spouse, because it will make all the difference in the world, all the difference.
Yeah, look, well said. And just briefly, for me, I know that, when I went through a difficult health situation, having an enormously supportive partner made all the difference in the world. And then it's similar now with COVID as well. It's a lot of people, like you said before, are going through really challenging times, being laid off, losing their job, etc. And, helping each other is incredibly important now. So the next section is the give section. So what's a charity or a community that you're supportive of, and why?
It's so just relevant that you asked that. So I am on the board of directors of an organization based here in Atlanta, Georgia, USA, called Optimize the Vision. And I serve on the board of this organization because it supports youth who may otherwise not have opportunities to access the resources that we provide. So as you know, a lot of individuals have dreams and aspirations of being sports professionals and being a football player, a basketball player, etc. But we know that only a small percentage of it actually make it to the professional level. And so what we do is we work with these kids to show them different opportunities outside of just playing the sport, but behind the scenes. And so with that, we're able to actually bring them opportunities where, you can be a video person, you can be a technician, you can be an analyst. So we expose them to careers that they otherwise would not hear about. specifically in the sports industry, for those who are athletes who have dreams of taking it to the next level, to say, let's also have a contingency plan. Go for your dreams, but if it doesn't work out, there are an array of opportunities, from being the team doctor or being, an agent, et cetera. So I love this organization because it just opens the possibilities for youth who are ages 12 to 15 to let them really see another side of the sports arena.
Oh, brilliant. Well, I'm sure everyone on that board is so lucky to have you, and also all the children that are impacted by your great actions. So the last section is the action section. So I get some rapid fire responses to these questions. So the first one is, what are your top 3 personal effectiveness tips?
Make sure that you understand what is the end goal, what is the end result that you want. Number 2, brevity is sometimes your best friend. And number 3, make sure you have no regrets.
Brilliant. And, we talked about before, you talked about before around technology and automation, which I fully support. But what's one piece of tech that you couldn't run your business without?
This platform called Monday. So Monday has reduced the emails that my team sends by 95%. We do all of our work out of this cross-functional tool called Monday. And literally, it is so efficient and so effective for us achieving our results, but also being able to communicate with each other real time and not having to be in email jail of sending 1,000 emails per day. So Monday is my go-to hack that I just absolutely love.
Excellent. And you talked before how you love to learn. You've got a real appetite for it. What are some of the best sources for you on learning?
I am truly one who loves to listen to audiobooks. So the latest book that I am listening to is Mindset by Carol Dweck. I also am re-listening to The Alchemist. I think most entrepreneurs have read that book, which is absolutely fabulous. And then, one of my absolute favorite books, just from a leadership perspective, whether you're in corporate America or whether you're an entrepreneur, is Give and Take. So are you a giver, matcher, or a taker? Givers finish at the top.
Brilliant. And what speed do you listen at? Just out of interest?
I'm sorry, repeat the question, Paul.
Sorry, what speed do you listen at in the audio books?
Yeah, so I am usually done probably if I get through about one every week and a half to 2 weeks, because I try to listen to them while I'm out jogging. And unfortunately, now that I'm not in my car as much anymore, I don't have that time anymore to listen to them. So yeah, about 1.5 to 2 weeks is my turnaround time.
Great. And look, the last question's the big question. You've talked about purpose, and I can tell that, that's in your absolute core DNA. But, what impact do you want to leave on the world?
The impact that I want to leave is to make sure that we are changing the data one founder at a time for women and underrepresented founders. But more so than that any individual who wants to go out there and follow their dream and do something that they want to start from scratch, that they have an equal chance to do it, whether they are in Australia or whether they are in India or whether they're in the United States, that there is a fair shot for everyone to do it. And so our team, we may not, by the end of my lifetime, I may not see the results that I wanted, but I will know that I would have had an impact and moved the needle. And so I tell my children all the time that it is, as I do this work, then they have to make sure that whatever they do, that they're making their own personal impact and leaving their own significance behind with whatever their dream is that they want to follow. But I think if we all begin to collectively walk in our authentic purpose, that one, the world is going to be a better place. And two, we're going to see that humanity overall is just in a much better state.
Really well said, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm sure everyone listening has as well. So you can find out more about Monica at monicamotivates.com. And Monica there has got a free resource. It's called Pivot to Your Purpose. So you can get that again at monicamotivates.com. All of those links and everything else mentioned will be in the show notes. So absolute joy having you on today, Monica. And my thoughts go out to you and everybody in Georgia as you go through some changes, probably a little bit faster than some others with COVID. And yeah, my thoughts and feelings go out to you with that change.
Thank you so much, Paul. And I would be remiss without saying to everyone that I am truly wishing the best for everyone, and to all of our frontline responders, thank you for all that you're doing every day to keep us safe.
Brilliant. Thanks, Monica.
Thank you, Paul.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Absolutely love that interview with Monica. Very inspiring. A little longer than normal, but it was definitely worth every second. So you can get the show notes at buildlivegive.com. If you believe someone you know would benefit from the show, please share. Monica would love to get your support and appreciation on LinkedIn. Her profile is in the show notes as well. You can learn the three secrets to build your authority on LinkedIn in a free pre-recorded masterclass. Just go to blgclick.com. Please take action to build your business and lifestyle, and most importantly, stay well.
Thank you for listening to the Build, Live, Give podcast. If you like what you heard, please subscribe and leave us a review. It would mean the world to us.